bulk of money went, I think it went to some projects to do some roads. It went to look at some homeless projects and some other things. But the real problem we're going to have is the state stimulus dollars when they dry up, especially the dollars that fund Medicaid and some other programs, where I have a fear that the legislature will come to us to kind of bolster up, where they're going to have some revenue issues. So we need to be on the lookout for that. We've always had some issues with mandated costs with the state government giving it to the county. Orange County has seen a 30% reduction in the property taxes over the last 3 years. You have to keep in mind that the budget's $2.8 billion, but only about $700 million is actually general fund and that's your ad valorem taxes. You carve out public safety, $300 million is gone. So you need to be very careful with the rest of it. It's going to continue to shrink, but it's the way we manage money, and that's what my experience is.
I don't think anybody seems to remember the fear that permeated this country about 2 years ago about the almost collapse of our financial system. So when you talk about the stimulus money, there's a load of hypocrisy that goes around throughout this nation. People that claim they hated stimulus money, but they loved those pictures of themselves handing out those dollars and those checks to senators and congressmen. That was a very unique time in American history, and I hope we never see it repeated again. Now, to the local level, something that we have the ability to control. Is it a spending problem or is it a taxation problem? I think right now it's a spending problem. We have to live within our means, and I intend to do that. I will not raise taxes, and we're going to live within our means.
Thank you. One of the large parts of stimulus money went to our schools, our education. And because of the stimulus money, we were able to keep open the schools for 2 more years that, may come to be on the chopping block next year again. The school board, as you know, has an $80 million shortfall. They are going to be raising the millage rate up, and you will see something on the referendum where they want to raise it another $1 mil in November. So I think yes, we did need it, especially to keep our schools going. And I think we have a revenue problem with the shortfall of the taxes. Property values, all of our property taxes are down. I'm in the real estate business. I see people losing their homes, unfortunately, every single day. And one of the things that we need to do is stabilize our real estate market so that our property values will go back up, eventually bringing more revenue into the county for the property taxes that we owe, without having to raise them. So that I'm a huge advocate for trying to get this budget balanced. I think the school department does need to make some major cuts as well. Thank you.
I have you read.
Okay, I definitely believe Orange County doesn't have a revenue problem. They have a spending problem. I have gone out publicly and said I will not support any tax increase in Orange County. And I actually want to see a 10% cut across the board with the exception of public safety. I don't want to remove any police officers out of our neighborhood or any firemen out of our firehouses. I don't want to touch their budget. But it's important when we move forward. People are losing their homes. They're losing their jobs, their livelihoods. We have to understand this. As anyone at this table will say, we've gone door knocking and we've met those individuals and we've gone back to those houses that are empty now. So I think it's time that we make people in Orange County a priority as we move forward, and increasing taxes is not the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. I would not propose increasing taxes either. I don't think our economy can stand an increase in tax, and I know we have some municipalities are doing it. As far as the issue of stimulus, I'd like to focus the discussion here in Orange County and what's being proposed in this race. We have 2 candidates that are proposing a local stimulus package, and I do have concerns about how you fund that. We are mandated by Constitution to have a balanced budget, and as well it should be. Candidate Falconer is proposing a 2-year property tax holiday for all snowbirds and landlords. Anyone who buys a new home but isn't homesteaded, that money has to come from somebody. Those tax dollars don't grow on trees, they come out of your pocketbook. And I don't know how Orange County's budget is going to be balanced without either cutting services or raising taxes to fund his tax stimulus package for snowbirds. Commissioner Siegel wants to give $3,000 to every business that hires somebody over $58,000. I'm not sure that's going to work. If I was a business owner, I would not hire somebody for $58,000 because of a $3,000 tax rebate. And I also don't know where that funding is going to come from, except for from your pocketbooks.
Go ahead, Ms. Stewart.
Table issue here. Our budget is always balanced, and we have not increased our millage. But of course, we have a decline in our revenue sources. So spending has to be addressed, number one, and we have done that every year because we have to balance the budget every year. But I am proposing that we audit every department and try to find more savings, even though we've tried, we haven't hired, we've 500 people that are out there that we just have not rehired. We're constantly readjusting things, but if we could audit the departments, if we could get a citizens committee together of folks who really have to deal with this on day-to-day from inside and outside to help advise us where they would like to see the spending reduced, I think that would be a big advantage, because I'm always for the citizens' control of where we go in Orange County. And so I think we need to consolidate within Orange County some of the departments. We need to look at where the savings is going to take place within Orange County, but also we need to look at consolidation outside of Orange County, and where it very well may lead us is to some departments with other cities maybe working together to make the savings great for both of us.
Well, great. If Ms. Stewart's elected mayor, then I'm excited the opportunity to work with her on the idea of the Citizens Advisory Panel, because I think that we certainly have a spending issue. I mean, government by the nature of what it is a bureaucracy, and there's always room for increased efficiencies within a bureaucracy itself. And so several weeks ago, when we were sitting in front of a group just like this, I proposed that we put together a citizens-based advisory group that takes a look at efficiencies and suggestions that we empower local county level employees, non-management employees, make suggestions, and if those suggestions will save taxpayer dollars and make government run more efficient, then let's put it in front of a citizens group and not management, so that we can find real ways to save taxpayer dollars while not decreasing levels of service. I think that when it looks at stimulus, I don't know how I would have voted. You know, I wasn't there, but I will tell you this. I see stimulus dollars as they should be dollars that are putting people to work, not plugging holes. And stimulus dollars are still tax dollars. They're our money. And so we have to look at it that way. It's our money.
Ms. Thompson, keep the mic. I want to start with you. Everybody talks about, of course, some of the mayor candidates have talked about it. Ms. Stewart had brought it up about consolidation of services. We hear everything's generic. You guys, starting first, give us some specifics. If we have a revenue problem, where do we raise the revenues from? If we have a spending problem, where do we consolidate or cut the services? Give for the audience some specifics, and for all the candidates, instead of generality here, give us some specifics of where you would raise the money from or where you would cut to fund other areas of the budget.
Okay. First, some areas that can be looked at. I think that we don't look at the ones that are so political because it's hard to get those things pushed through at the first step. We look at GIS. There's GIS services over in the property appraisers, there's GIS services in the real estate departments, there's GIS services in growth management, and they're all separate. 15 seconds. Okay.
Okay, so that would be the area where you would cut? I mean, I didn't get
That's one area that we can look at consolidation.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's a big question. For 15 seconds, I just got the red.
For 50, you have a minute.
Oh, she showed me the red one, I'm sorry.
Yeah, show me you have 50.
Oh, I'm sorry. So,
Go ahead, real quick.
I would look at consolidation in areas like GIS, human resources, growth management, budgeting. There's areas that we can definitely save. I would also go back to this idea of going to the people that are the line level workers and creating a financial incentive for those non-management employees to tell us where we can save money. Take those suggestions and put it up in front of that citizens group. My main focus as county commissioner for the next 4 years is on doing whatever we can to diversify our economy and to put people to work. That's how we increase revenue. We increase revenue by getting businesses out there to employ people and getting tax dollars flowing again. We save money by going into the structure of government and finding ways to run it more like a business.
All right, Mr. Clark, you're next. I mean, give us, everybody keeps talking about the generality of revenues, we need to cut, give us some specifics, please.
Okay, I'll give you 5. How's that? First thing I'd do is I'd ask for a recommendation on how to cut $2 million from our mandated DJJ costs that we pay for the kids in the juvenile detention center to the tune of $193 a day. We pay twice as much as any other county our size in the state. That's number one. Number two, I would ask for our human resources folks to come back with a definitive plan to have employee clinics, to have possibly employee medications delivered through our pharmacy system. I mean, big companies are doing this, small governments are doing this. It's shown to reduce healthcare costs without compromising quality. on the center website, I gave, I think, 5 separate examples. The other was I would ask to see the savings by moving human resources and financial services into the Office of Management budget. I think there's some significant savings we could have there. I wish I could remember them all. The other is public safety issues, the corrections, the inmate population is down. There's some inherent savings there. They're reducing their staff by 51 people, but we need to be very, very careful that if we have an influx of inmates, we need to have the agility to move it back up. The Sheriff's Department reduced their budget 3%. We still need to look and see if we're doing the best job we can there. And I got the red line. On the central side, I had 5 specific areas where I would look to reduce.
Mr. Fountain, you're next. What areas would you specifically, where would you raise for revenues or where would you cut to save money?
Well, I spent a year with 30 people researching waste in government in Orange County, and part of that result in the report is my book called Building a Better Local Government, How to Lower Taxes and Services at the Same Time. The plan called for regionalization of services, not consolidation into one large bureaucracy, so we bring it closer to the people. Everybody in Avalon Park knows the services are downtown and very difficult to get. In terms of raising revenue, the best way to raise revenue is to lower taxes, to put more disposable income in the pockets of small business so they can spend it in our small business economy. I have a 5-point plan to get our economy back on track. My plan includes lowering taxes by reducing waste in government, rolling back impact fees to encourage investment in our communities, and tax holidays to get second homeowners to buy our housing stock and put small contractors back to work. Despite what Mitch Jacobs says, the realtors call my tax holiday plan brilliant, because what we'll do is we'll get an incentive for second homeowners to come buy our housing stock and put small contractors back to work. And as Ms. Pisano said before, one housing sale can result in 27 new jobs. We need people to come back to Florida. Our biggest problem in the economy of Florida is we have outbound migration because of high taxes and wasteful government spending.
Ms. Jacobs, you're next.
Thank you. A couple of specifics. One, our development and permitting process takes way too long. It is both costly to the business and private sector, and it's also costly to the public sector. We have too many employees that are processing paperwork over and over and over again instead of getting it right the first time. That's a waste of your tax dollars. We need to eliminate that. We need to have productivity standards for all of our employees to make sure that we have a high work ethic and they are producing and delivering for you with your tax dollars. Third, I would do a study, a statewide study, an organization called the Florida Benchmarking Consortium that I had an opportunity to work with. Does a great job of comparing different departments, county by county, city by city. Orange County is not a member of that, with the exception, I think, of Human Resources. I would engage all of our departments in that so that we can see where we are falling short and how we can better serve you with the tax dollars that we have. And finally, I'm almost out of time. I'm sorry, 1 minute is an awful short period of time, folks, for you all to get real answers, but we're trying to do our best.
Ms. Pisano, you're up next. You said something, there was a revenue problem. Could you elaborate on that? I mean, along with the question we asked of where would you have raised revenues or where would you cut?
The revenue problem is because we're lacking tax dollars, our property tax dollars. All of our properties are reassessed because our values, some of them have cut 40, 50%. So unfortunately, not unfortunately for us, but unfortunately for the county, where you used to pay $3,000 in taxes on just say a roughly $250,000 valued house, now that house may be valued at $160,000. So now your taxes may be $1,200 or $1,400, depending upon your exemptions. So when you couple that together and you extrapolate it, that's what's happening. We've got a huge property revenue shortage, a major shortage. But to answer your question on the other, let me just start with this. Do you know how many departments are not in Orange County administration building? For instance, I'll give you one. Our tax collector, speaking of which, they are on 15 seconds. They are on the top floor of the SunTrust building. There is no reason that we need to pay to take up that space. And there are more departments just like it. What we need to do is we need to look at those leases. We need to, there's so much commercial space and industrial space and everything else downtown that we could get way cheaper than that. The other thing is we need to look at, and I said this in my Orlando Sentinel online interview, we need to look at emergency management. We need to look at planning and zoning. We need to start looking at ways we can do that. Here's what's happening. A lot of the municipalities, including Belle Isle, is going to their own services, which is going to give Orange County even more of a shortage. So we need to make Orange County more efficient to where the municipalities are going to stay with us. Thank you.
Your turn, Ms. Ravi. On the same question, if I made it this long enough.
Excellent. Something, too, that we're not discussing here are business